YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. A busy day in the NFL. I mean, we had roster cuts all day, and then it's blown up with this crazy draft trade between the Bears, who had the first overall pick, and the Panthers, the ninth overall pick. DJ Moore involved in this. Pretty damn crazy. I'm here to break it down and grade both teams like I do with all the big-time trades. If you're not following our Twitter, you are missing out. Instant analysis on things like this, live news, rumors, updates. We talk about the breaking news. We interact with you guys. It's a busy time of the year at free agency right around the corner. Make a Twitter if you don't have one. Follow us if you do have one. Be much appreciated. It's definitely worth it. Link pin in the comments for that, as well as our Discord and our sponsors, which you see underneath me. Like, subscribe to notifications on here on the channel because we have full NFL coverage. We have recent free agency predictions videos. We'll have crazy amount of grades videos for free agency signings. So it'd be a good reason to turn those notifications on and join us here on the channel, covering the draft fully as well, all the trades. So we got you. Again, any link you're looking for, pin in the comments. So here is the wild trade, which our most recent mock draft, which I think was my most accurate because it was post-combine, the latest buzz. I had the Panthers trading up to the first overall pick, so that mock draft is still valid because they got the first overall pick, and the Bears got the ninth overall pick. DJ Moore was a little bit of a surprise that he was involved in this one, but the Panthers got the first overall pick, and we'd imagine they can go up and go get their quarterback in the future. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit here. But what the Bears got, they got DJ Moore, so they get a young, proven receiver. So that's big time for the Chicago Bears. I wasn't really expecting that one because him to be involved because I thought that was maybe too valuable of a piece. I mean, not the value, but too big of a piece for the Panthers. And, we're going to go up and get a quarterback, but we're going to take his best receiver away. Does it make sense? And I sit here and I think about what for every trade, and it's starting to make a little bit more sense for the Panthers. Again, we'll explain a little bit more in a little bit here, just kind of breaking down the trade first. 61st overall for the Bears as well, on top of that 9th overall. And they're later of the second round picks from Carolina. 2024 first round pick. So next year's first, and the year after, 2025, is a second round pick. So the Bears get an absolute haul. This is an absolute haul, and I know the people, maybe the Bears Twitter, since they got the first overall pick, there's been a PFF mock machine is guilty here too, but maybe a lot of unrealistic mocks with even more than this, and a lot of people were insisting they were going to trade to 2, and then they were going to trade to 4, and then maybe to 9, and get all these players and all these picks. So those people maybe don't think this is a haul. Maybe they were unrealistic and thought a lot more. But I think a lot of us think this is an absolute haul. This is a good deal for really what I came away with is a really good deal for both sides. And we can grade it now and kind of break it down why that is. But the Bears, I was back and forth between two grades here. And I'm going to give them an A+. I was originally going to give them an A. And the reason for, and we're going to go back to the trade compensation here, the 9th overall pick. I know there was probably some, I remember seeing comments, there was probably some Bears fans, not a whole lot of them maybe some, that maybe they're saying we don't want to move back down to 9 because then we take ourselves out of the conversation for an elite prospect. So I do understand that. Maybe they want to move back down to 4. That's why I was thinking an A. Originally, is because there is kind of a negative in there, and that is, they did take themselves out of a conversation for an elite prospect, perhaps. They still get a pretty good one, and who knows? The trade's usually pretty wild. A really good player ends up dropping down, but I really like, the more I think about it, they take themselves, out of the conversation for elite player, but they're still going to get a top 10 player. They add a first-round pick next year. They add a second-round pick this year. They add a second-round pick next year, but they're still going to get a great player, and they add DJ Moore, too. And DJ Moore's not elite, but they add a big-time proven receiver who's only 25. So that kind of made up for it, and I did not expect them to get DJ Moore. My prediction was somewhat close. I actually had a 2025 first-round pick and the 39th overall pick from this year thrown in there for the Bears. They didn't get either of those, so you might be saying, whoa, but instead of that 39th pick, they get the 61st pick. So they stay in the second round, they move back a little bit. Instead of the 2025 first, they get a 2025 second. So they stay in that draft, they just move back a little bit. But they get DJ Moore. They get DJ Moore on top of it. So you get DJ Moore, and the way I look at it, instead of a 2025 first, and an early second. You get a late second, a future second, and DJ Moore. So that definitely makes up for it, in my opinion. But how big was getting DJ Moore? I mean, you get your legit number one receiver. I'm a believer you have to have multiple number one receivers. I think, Mooney's shown some good things. Claypool in his first year showed some good things. Those guys have a shot, but they're legit number twos perhaps. And then you have your legit number one in DJ Moore here, who, again, the Bears are in rebuild. They're in rebuild right now. They have a lot of needs. So adding more picks, that's a big positive there. They add more. The team adds a lot of picks for now and the future. When you're rebuilding, you have a lot of holes. It's a plus. That's a positive sign there. But adding DJ Moore, who can be a part of that rebuild, he's under contract. He's only 25, going to be 26. He can be a part of that as well. So that's huge. Even more of a fact, you look at his contract, it's like a $20 million cap hit or so this year. It's a lot, but the Bears could afford it. The next 2 years is going to be $16.05 million. That is very, very team friendly. We'll see what happens in the future if he asks for more money. It's hard to grade things off that now, but that's crazy team friendly, and that's just big time for the Bears. And then you factor in the draft class. I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba is a big time one, but the draft class for receivers, and there's some good receivers, don't get me wrong. It's not as great as we're used to it being free agency, the same thing. So you go out and you go get your receiver. You got the guy that could be part of the rebuild. Did that guy really exist out there that was this good, proven, part of the rebuild? No, I've seen some people thrown out DeAndre Hopkins trade rumors. It doesn't make no sense to me because he's not going to be a part of the rebuild. I know some people were like T. Higgins. That would have been pretty big too. I just did not see that happening. But so for all those reasons, mainly the reasons I just explained were all about DJ Moore. I think that's a big time get that I just was not expecting, and it's going to help. It's really going to help because they want to see if Justin Fields is the guy here, right? They know he can run. Can he elevate and progress in terms of the passing game? Can he get the ball a little quicker? Adding a big-time receiver definitely can help, but now they know. Like, if we have DJ Moore with Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool, and we can factor in the tight end, who I like a lot too, and Cole Kmet. Now we know, if Fields can't figure it out and can't progress as a passer this year, then we for sure know we need another guy. And we have the draft capital for the future. And now they also, for Justin Fields' sake, who has all the talent in the world, he's just got to put it together. They put the pieces around him to help him thrive, so he very well could thrive now. So it's kind of a win-win looking at it that way. If he is the guy and if he's not the guy, I know maybe a lot of fans probably think it's a lose situation if he's not the guy, but looking out for the future there, it's really telling too. Like I said, it's really going to tell you for sure. You don't want to be in that situation where is our guy the guy? Next year in the draft, is our quarterback the guy? Do we take a guy here? I don't think they're going to be in that situation. They're either yes, we're going to move up, or maybe they're in the spot to get a guy, or no, Fields is our guy. They're going to know. So I think adding DJ Moore is a big part of that, or creates that as well. Which I absolutely love. I talked about it in the past. I talked about it on Twitter. I talked about it in some videos. I think the best thing the Bears could do was not only to get more picks for this year, or just more picks in general, but to invest in 2024 draft picks. And they did that. I mean, they got one, but it's a 2024 first-round pick, and it's the Panthers who are going to have a rookie quarterback. I think they'll have a pretty darn good rookie quarterback, but still, maybe they won't be the best team next year, so that pick could be decent. And the reason to invest in those picks, well, one, I mean, you can try to build around Fields, which they're about to do. You can see if he's the guy. That's the one positive for investing in more so the future. But number two, the top of next year's class, with needs of the Bears, possible needs for the Bears, are pretty damn good. I mean, if I should say, not will they or they won't. If they need a quarterback, I mean, Drake May and Caleb Williams are ridiculous. So having an opportunity to be in that conversation is possibly a good thing. Unless Fields works out, then it's a good thing. Like I said, so kind of a win-win situation. But they might need free agency and the draft's right around the corner, so they might not need another tackle. But I like the tackles at the top of that next class too. Big fan of Joe Alt from Notre Dame. And then the receivers a little underwhelming, like we said, for the draft and free agency this year. But you got Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe the best receiver prospect we've seen in some time at the top. And I know they have DJ Moore now, but Chase Claypool is going to be a free agent next year. Another reason why DJ Moore is a good addition too, in case they can't get Claypool back or he doesn't work. I know some people are kind of ripping that trade right now. Still to be determined. He has a talent in him, but maybe they'd rather have that first pick in the second round now that they have DJ Moore, but that's not how it works. We can't really base this trade off that trade. So that's a big time factor. Investing in the future. It's just a lot of win-win situations for the Bears, like I've been breaking down. I think they got correct value in return. They got a pretty good haul. They still picked 9th overall. Maybe some people were expecting a little more. Some people a lot more. I think that was unrealistic. Maybe some people aren't thrilled about them going down to 9. Maybe they'd rather stayed at 4 if it was an option. We don't know who gave them offers. So what they'll do at 9 will be interesting. What they do in free agency first will be telling, I'd say. At 9, I can see trying to fill that right tackle spot. Could it be Paris Johnson Jr., who played left tackle, but I think could play right. Broderick Jones from Georgia. Looking at the defensive lineman, sometimes some guys sneak through. They slip through a little bit, but defensive lineman Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, Miles Murphy from Clemson, perhaps. I don't know if they'll like Nolan Smith. Maybe they'll view him as a little undersized, but it's a phenomenal ball player there. That would be a good pick. But they may not view him as a fit. And then Bijan Robinson actually could be the wild card there. I think Bijan Robinson is a phenomenal prospect. He can be a Pro Bowl running back right away. It's just going to depend on what they do in free agency here, the Chicago Bears. But, yeah, like I said, I originally was giving it an A, but there's just so many factors that made this a win-win situation for them for now and the future, mainly the future. And then adding DJ Moore and his future contract and him being young, being able to being part of that rebuild is just absolutely huge here for me. So I'll give it an A+. This is one of those things where the Bears should get an A+. Trading if you have the first overall pick, you better be getting an A+. You better be getting, because the value goes up every year for the first overall pick. It's going to look like a boatload. You better be getting that A+ haul, and I think they went out and did that. The more and more I thought about this for the Carolina Panthers, they gave up a haul, but I like it. I like it for the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to give them an A. So both teams get a very good grade in this. And at first, you only get one pick. You get the first overall pick. You have the opportunity to go up and get a quarterback here. To start to talk about that a little bit, interesting, the Panthers have really not been able to do that. They've been kind of messing around with mediocre veterans, and it's like, those fans got to be sick of it, right? And I think it's, that front office, it was kind of time like, all right, we got to just go get our guy. And the guy that we evaluate, the guy that we think is the future of this team. And the young guys are taking over pretty early too. And then you bring in Frank Reich, who with the Colts, the Colts been going out and they were doing the same thing basically. They were training for mediocre veterans, and Frank Reich really didn't get there. Maybe he probably played a part in deciding Carson Wentz is the guy, but he gets to go up and choose his guy, his guy that he gets to mold, that he gets to build, that he gets to fully evaluate, not just basing off what he did and didn't do in the NFL. So those kind of go together, and they had Josh McCown in there, who obviously, smart quarterback, and knows his stuff about the position, and he thinks highly of. Well, kind of jump to the cut here that it's likely to be C.J. Stroud, which I've been saying, but I think McCown likes him a lot as well. It just seems like a really good fit in that Reich offense. Very accurate quarterback. You don't want to have to coach accuracy. There was an issue at Wentz. They thought they can fix him, but something was after some injuries and something was going downhill with him. You don't have to coach accuracy with Stroud. You don't have to coach his footwork, his mechanics, the pocket movement, the pocket presence. The arm talent. You just don't need to coach these types of things. But I guess they have to make the right pick first, because what if they just go in there and they take and Anthony Richardson has a lot of upside, but I was gonna say like an off the wall pick kind of, which some people think it could happen. But Anthony Richardson, that I'm just not gonna like it as much. It's just me. So I guess that's why I couldn't give him an A+. But the more and more I was thinking about this, the more I was liking it for the Carolina Panthers. Another big factor is of course it's risky. You gotta hit on the quarterback here, but I think it's worth it to trade up to 1, because I don't really plan on them being in that conversation or being able to go from 9 to 1 next year in a really good class, and then maybe they don't have the draft capital or the ability to gain that draft capital like the Chicago Bears. So I thought it made more sense to do it now. You got a really good fit in that Reich system with C.J. Stroud here. And remember, people were talking about the Bears just. It was so clutch to get that first pick. They didn't really do much. It was more the Texans-Colts game. But to get that first overall pick, it's just wild how that happened and how this happened because of that. But what about the Panthers in the Bucs, the second to last week of the season? Panthers won that game. They're going to go to the playoffs. Playoff spot teams get a pick way later. You see where the Bucs are at. If they were where the Bucs were at, which they were very close, they were winning most of that game, and good old Sam Darnold kicked in the gear, they wouldn't be able to make this trade. And in the next year, they'd probably be in the same area, depending on what they would do. So they were in position and almost luckily in position. So they had to take advantage to finally go up. Finally, for that organization, that front office to go up and get their guy. Finally, for Frank Reich to go up and get his guy. It made some sense. And at first it was like DJ Moore. And I'm still a little surprised they traded DJ Moore. But DJ Moore, they're going to take that receiver away from the quarterback. Quarterback's just so much more important, number one. Number two, they did free some space with DJ Moore for now in the future. And that's pretty big. They rather have the quarterback if they're picking the space, and they kind of, I don't know who chose what. Sounds like the Bears really wanted DJ Moore, but the alternative was for the Panthers to keep DJ Moore was to giving up a little more than this, but mainly the main point is the 2025 first round pick. They would definitely have to give up that, and I would think the earlier second round pick if it wasn't for giving up DJ Moore. And the more I was thinking about that, the more I like it this way better for them. They still have that early second round pick in this year's draft. All those picks they trade, they still get to pick that early second where they can get what they miss out in free agency. Maybe it's that receiver to replace. They'll probably sign a guy as well. And it's just, it's never good. You have to give up, you'll be without a first round pick back-to-back years, 2024 and 2025. But that 2025 year, DJ Moore's going to be on the last year of his deal. He's probably going to want to raise like all these receivers do. You'd rather have that money, that pick at that point, because that year they'll be picking in the first round, and the receiver classes should be getting better than it is this year, next year, the year after as well. So that makes sense as well. And the quarterback position is just the more important thing there. And again, I think they're even more in position now to do work in free agency, whether it's this year, next year, both. I'd say both. They've been clearing some money. They clear money with DJ Moore. They have a ton of future space, so they can kind of in free agency this year, they can use some of that future space. And then when we get to next year, they're going to have even more space, and they're going to be able to go to work next year. So they're going to be able to go out there and get the DJ Moore replacement. Or actually probably multiple of them if you want multiple guys to replace one guy, because you got maybe picks or free agents here and there this year. But next year, where it's going to be a better receiver class of free agency, they'll have the spending money as well, because it's not the best class this year. Remember, so for those reasons, it actually makes sense to trade DJ Moore. I'm not sitting here saying it's like genius, it's the greatest thing on the planet, but it makes more sense to trade DJ Moore than that early second round pick, but mainly that 2025 first round pick. So they're not without a first round pick. And again, they have the first overall pick this year. They're just only without a first round pick in 2024. Think about that. They're only without a first round pick. They traded for the number one overall pick from 9, and they're only without a first round pick next year. So looking at it that way, I think it looks pretty good. So for all the reasons I explained, I actually like this for the Panthers. When it happened, I kind of liked it because I'm a big CJ Stroud guy. We'll see if they make the right pick. It's a gamble. It's why both those things, a huge gamble. Both those things is why I couldn't put the plus next to them, but I do like it the more and more I think about it, talk about it. But I kind of liked it right away, because going up and getting CJ Stroud, find the obvious reasons. The Panthers and Frank Reich finally go get the guy they want to get, but then factoring in some more things there as well. And it's a team that could go sneaky big in free agency. I'm not really just talking now, but in the future as well. So I think it's a win for both teams here. Bears get the expected haul with trading the first overall pick. I wonder what other options were in play there. And there's some talk about the Panthers maybe trading. I saw that. I think they're trying to bait, trading down now at the first pick. I think it's just trying to bait the Texans. They traded up because they had one guy in mind. They want to go get him. I'd be surprised they traded that. But and the Texans too, I'd take that bait. Just to move up one spot. The Panthers probably think they're in on Bryce Young, and they still get their guy at 2. I'm not really paying too much attention to that. And they went up and got their guy because they love a guy that much, where they can trade DJ Moore in a haul to go get that guy. So the draft changed a little bit. Not a whole lot for me. A recent mock is kind of what's in my mind still, and that I had the Panthers trading for 1. So I think it's maybe I'll update one quickly on Twitter. Perhaps we're always talking with you guys on Twitter, but this made some sense for both teams. And there's thing, the DJ Moore thing was it's weird because I did not expect him to be dealt. And the more I think about it for the Bears, the more I like it. Adding that type of receiver for financially, for, being part of the rebuild, for the talent, for Justin Fields, and not just to make him better, but just to for sure know if he's the guy moving forward, or not. It's on him. Let's make this beyond our quarterback. That's how it should be. That's how you want it to be. And then for the Panthers, it's also is surprising, and it was good for the Bears, but it also doesn't mean it's bad for the Panthers. It's good there too, because saving money long term. They keep that first round pick. In 2025, they're going to have the opportunity to build around whoever their guy is, if it's C.J. Stroud or whoever. So it actually made a lot of sense for both sides, and it makes sense that it made a lot of sense. It's why it happened this early, right now, and the Bears weren't messing around, waiting around for other teams. The Panthers weren't messing around. They wanted to make sure they get ahead of the Texans, they get ahead of the Colts, they get ahead of the other teams that might be in play there. So, wild trade for sure. Let me know your guys' thoughts, your guys' grades in the comments. Again, we're always talking with you guys on Twitter. Link pin in the comments for that, as well as anything else you're looking for. Make sure you like, subscribe to notifications on. Go over our channel. Check out those recent free agency predictions, predicting about all kinds of free agents, where they're going to land. More to come on that. Free agency grades throughout free agency. We got you covered. Join us. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.